Welcome to Biz Dev Live. This is the Biz D with the C. I am bringing you DJ Herbert Holler today, founder of the Freedom Party. He's going to get more into it. We're going to get a little bit more detail. I'm going to play our Biz Dev theme, and I'll be right back with you to introduce you to Herbert, and we'll jump into it.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
So Herbert Holler has been a full-time DJ for 20 years. He's played at the most notable lounges, bars, and dance clubs in NYC nightlife history, from Wall Street to 125th, from Brooklyn to the Bronx, not to mention guest spots across the globe in cities like Tokyo, Venice, and London. Herbert Holler works with high-profile clients, Samsung, Porsche, Live Nation, Sony, ATV, etc., event production teams, creative edge parties, Glow, Frost Audio, and world-renowned artists like Blanco, Boyz II Men, John Legend, Miguel, Snoop Dogg. He continues to spin some of the most celebrated annual events in NYC, like the Brooklyn Black Tie Ball and Brooklyn Botanic Spring Gala. Herbert Holler created the most legendary old-school dance party in NYC history, the Freedom Party, voted best party by Papermag, Village Voice, and URB. Freedom is now in its 17th year of parties with over 800 events to date, touching dance floors on a regular basis in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia. Herbert Holler's success is due to his sensitivity to music's energy and message, his versatility and wide scope of music knowledge, his incredible passion for making people happy, and an uncanny ability to improvise, and an undeniable driving rhythm that ties it all together into one magnificent mix of music. Thanks, Herbert, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Cam. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, and then we'll get into your background and history.
Right now, I'm trying to flesh out the brand, fill in for some of the gaps that have been left through COVID and through the live performance, that sort of the emptiness. So I'm doing some live streams here and there. I am doing a lot of marketing, sort of more research, and more marketing, making more of a marketing presence. I'm doing some marketing and writing for some other brands too. I'm sort of planning too. I'm in the planning phase of what happens as soon as COVID is over and how can I hit hard, because it's going to be a great time for me to do that.
Yeah, no, I think people are ready to party. Talk to us a little bit about pre-COVID in terms of this Freedom Party. Tell us a little bit more about this. You founded this thing. It's been going on for 17 years. Talk to us about the wild success of this thing and how you put that together, and then we'll get into your background.
Cool. So it was in 2003 with a few other people collaborating over the years. It was started, and it was an answer to what was happening, what I saw happening with nightlife. A lot of the lounges and bars and clubs went from being about music and about people to being about your wallet, your status, whether or not you had a model with you, whether or not you could buy a bottle. And I wanted to sort of bring it back to the music and make music the forefront and let everything else fall into place. And that's what happened with Freedom. And that's, it went well, let's just say.
So let me tell, because I mean, there's a business, right? And I love this conversation because, and we'll get a little bit deeper as we get into this, but I love this conversation around, man, I love this. Like I love this art. I love painting, and I love music, right? I love DJing. I love skateboarding, whatever, right? Whatever your art, your passion, your thing is, right? How do I actually make money with this thing? And when you talk about nightlife, and it's not easy to make money in New York City, rents and everything. How did they game this and, pull the cheat codes off to make money. Bottle service, right? Charging you, $300, $400 for a $20 bottle of champagne, right? And, building, the idea of status and the VIP and all that. But I remember being a kid in the 90s, enjoying, the best of what 90s hip hop had to offer, going to the Buddha bar downtown and all that kind of stuff, and not having money for bottle service, but I wanted to dance and I wanted to feel the music and I wanted to be in that environment. So you're trying to bridge that gap every time you go into that space because you want to get paid,
right?
But you also are there for the love of it. So talk to us a little bit about how you built something that really respected the culture, but also, made sure the people involved had a livelihood, because you don't do something for 17 years if it's not now, sustaining itself, right?
Right. So first and foremost, you need that love and that passion to keep going. It is a labor of love at times, just to be brutally honest. But then you find ways to monetize your creativity, and there are different sources of income when you do a live music event. There's tickets, there's the door cover. And then sometimes you can work out a deal for a percentage of the bar with the bar owner. You say, okay, what number are you happy with? And they give you that number and you say, okay, after that, I'd like to start getting a percentage of sales on a sliding scale. And they say, okay, that makes sense. And then those are your major forms of income. But you have to very quickly, if you want to make a living out of it, you have to learn how to be best at marketing and learn how to reach people. Watch the YouTube videos, the how-tos, do the research online and figure out how to target that audience and go after them. Now, I don't have a marketing degree, but the Freedom Party and my For Hire brand forced me to go get that pseudo degree, to put in the work to understand the principles of marketing and how to reach people.
I love that. I love that message. And one of the things that's really interesting to me, I got a DJ hater here.
I know David. Hi, David.
live musician, right? One of the things that I think I respect so much, both from my own life and seeing people do it. Now, I've been a part of a college and career preparatory program for the last 24 years, and I'll be the first to tell a 14-year-old starting ninth grade, 13, 19, 14-year-old kid, man, make sure you are setting yourself up for all the opportunity in the world. Make sure you're hitting those grades so that you can get the best opportunity and best access to formal education in the world. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about that is because I did not do that, right? So, I have my proud GED. I had a kid at 19, 2 years of college under my belt. But I've had that school of hard knocks kind of piece and that marketing thing and social media, the ability to market myself, word of mouth, all of those kind of things that you're speaking to, and where it really comes into play. I've owned a business for the last 9 years with Tilt Event Staffing, and I have people marketing services to me that say, oh, they're social media folks, and I'm looking at their social media, and their social media isn't doing numbers that much better, and in some cases worse than my own. So why are you calling yourself a social media professional? So there's a lot to be said for, are you actually doing it? Are you applying it to your own business? And then once you have that skill set, because I know you said you're writing and using some of those other things, and I think that's something that's really important to realize about all your celebrities. And it's really interesting to see this world play out, because you're seeing now, movie stars that are using their abilities in social media. And then on the flip side of that coin, seeing movie stars that have all this capital that aren't even present on, so like they're not even using their social capital for whatever reason. Maybe they're making the choice, or they just don't have that ability to produce the content themselves, write the copy themselves. They're dependent upon a director and a producer and that sort of thing. So can you be the director and producer of your own content and put your company out there? I know when we talk, one of the big things that you were talking about was like Facebook ads in terms of promoting ticket sales and that sort of thing. You want to sort of fill in a little bit of detail there?
Sure. So figure out where your audience is. So back in the 90s, Cam, when you were doing it, and even to the late 90s, you either had a budget to advertise in print, like the Village Voice or Time Out, or maybe if you had big enough budget, you were gotten to the Times or New York Magazine, or you went to events with a stack of flyers in your hand because that's where people were. And
Remember the flyers.
Yep. And I was that guy on Astor Place in downtown Manhattan by the Cube, hitting everybody, and I kept doing that. And sometimes I'll even still do that, just to keep my hands in every little bit of dissemination.
I want to say this big time. Like, we're going to talk about Facebook ads here, but maybe the way to promote your business is handing out flyers. Maybe it's dressing as Gumby and hanging out in your store, because the name of the game is attention. So if you got foot traffic outside your store, that's the name of the game. Bring people in. I think one of the things that's really incredible, and you know, something like a dance party, probably the venue that you're doing this in, either it's got something else going on 90% of the time and not your event, or it's like a blacked out, just hole in the wall. You'd walk past it and never know there was a big event there. Right. How do you get people to that doorway when the foot traffic doesn't necessarily exist, right? Right.
So, but you have to decide if it's, you have to work smart, not necessarily hard. And you have to decide whether handing out flyers on a corner makes as much sense as going to Facebook, where everybody and their grandmother is, where you can target those people that like music. Because when you're handing out flyers, you don't know what they like. You're just like, here, oh, you look to be of age, you look to be cool. Here, Facebook is giving you this opportunity to drop dollars in a very effective way. I'm probably, I've spent quite a few dollars of my own on Facebook, making sure that my ticket sales are creeping up and up and up and up until it's event time. And it's Facebook and it's Instagram, and you're targeting your audiences. You're getting help through the marketing experts if you're spending enough money. You're studying your results, and you're seeing which people are clicking tickets, and not just clicking, but then actually buying, as opposed to maybe just going to the ticket page. You can see all of this. Why would you do other things?
A little bit of detail, because you didn't drop a number, but I think the number that we were talking about the other day in terms of what you were dropping in ads was somewhere in the area of 6 figures. Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, yes. So and for a small independent guy, it's that's.
I think that's good clarification, because you're not talking to somebody that's dropped $50. You're talking about somebody that's dropped $100. You're not talking about somebody that's just dropped $1,000. No. You're in the 6-figure range, where not only is that a nice chunk of money that some people make in a number of years, right? But also Facebook is paying attention, right? So they're lining somebody up to work with you specifically with the amount of money that you're dropping into the Facebook stream. So I think that's really incredible, and it sort of adds a little bit of texture to the advice that you're giving, because you were able to use Facebook effectively to sell tickets for your event over the course of 17 years to make this thing something that had longevity and sustainability for you.
And that 6-figure number, mind you, this didn't start happening for me until 6 years ago, maybe. So that's only in 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years where that number came. I've had clients that said, that I've worked with that say, because I'm like, as I'm saying, I'm trying to fill in some of the live performance gaps by doing marketing for other people. And I'll have people come and say, okay, what's your budget? And like, I thought I'd spend $50, $100 on this ad. And I'm like, hold on to that money, because that's not going to help you. There is a specific way to effective marketing on Facebook, and you'll get there. And one of the things I wanted to say, Cam, if I can, is that when you were talking about being a teacher and talking to people, I had a family member of mine, a younger family of mine, who's trying to make his way in the world. He just graduated. He's not sure what he wants to do. He's got his parents, telling him this. He's got other people telling him that. And I thought it'd be good to get on the phone, because I felt very much like him when I wasn't following the prescription for success. And what I'm trying to say is, the thing that I told him, Cam, I think will be helpful, is there's a saying, nothing to it but to do it. I think that you can listen to people and try to follow all these laws of success, but the best thing to do is to get out there and do it, because then you will learn really quickly what it is you need to do and focus on. And all of the advice and the guidance that falls away, and now it becomes about survival and about connecting point A and point B, and you see that path once you start it.
Yeah, I love that message. And I think, I was talking about, how passionate I'm about preparing students for college and career. Right. But the other side of that message, as an entrepreneur and knowing how the world works, college might not be right for everybody. That's sort of a side issue, vocational stuff. I was looking at an article about apprenticeship. There's lots of ways into careers that might be the right way for a given child. And for a lot of the population, college probably isn't the right move. It's just a pathway to debt and frustration, right? But for those that are willing to apply themselves, I think college, thinking about scenes, right? So if you're a DJ, you want to be where the top minds are, where the top minds in DJing are, where the entertainment personalities. So if you look at college like that, or any place where you want to go and find success. I was watching this 18-year-old who is like set to go to Mars 2033, because she was like, the old school paradigm is you go to school for this number of years and then you apply for this program with NASA and maybe you get in. She was like, no, I'm just going after this. And now at 18 years old, she's certified in everything that she needs to go on a mission to Mars, which is
I would say that if you sorry, go ahead. Sorry. If you know what you want to do, then by all means, follow that prescription. If you know at 18 what you want to do with your life, then follow the steps and get there. I have a friend of mine who's a top agent at William Morris Entertainment. He knew right after seeing Jerry Maguire that that's what he wanted to do. And he started reading the books and started following that path. And he became, step by step, following the formula, a top agent who now represents The Rock, Guy Fieri, et cetera, et cetera.
I love this. And the thing that I like about this now, and because this is like the best time, like, I know we're part of what we're going to talk about is like being a DJ in COVID. And believe me, I know for the folks out there that are in the live event industry, like I am, Total Event Staffing, David Fletcher's commenting, he's a live event musician, right? It sucks, right? There's not the business that we would like there to be there. Now, first of all, the good news is 2022 is going to be amazing for live events because people are going to be so ready, so hungry for anything and everything. Once there's a vaccine out there and the world opens up, but the other side of that story is that you have to be ready if another pandemic hits, right? Nobody wants to hear that message, but what are you doing with your business to get ready for all the eventual possibilities? Because if you go back to 2000, we've had one disaster after another every 10 years, right? 2001, planes crashing into the World Trade Center. 2002 in Hong Kong, you had SARS. That was their preliminary piece into our current world pandemic. But that changed the way they are, and they were wearing masks ever since. Guess what? Masks are going to be a regular thing, a full-time thing. Walking to the Disney store, they have all types of masks at the Disney store. They're on that trend. That's Disney. Are you on the trend? Are you prepared? Right? Whatever your business is, are you prepared for what the future, and are you taking advantage of it? Right? And I'm going to finish this. So for students, you have YouTube and all of these people that are just putting out what they do and how they do it for free. So you don't have to wait till you're 18. You can be 14 and starting up that online business and starting to put the money away. I know a 17-year-old who wrote a book and developed a club for stock investing. Like, you could go out and do it. If you're a DJ and you're a young person, like, it's the best time ever to like figure out Twitch, get on there. And I know some people are like, I know we're going to get into that, like your love of it, but figuring out how to have an event, because I'm in the event industry, and a big challenge for us is we want to hug people, we want to be together, we want to shake hands, we want to
a handshake, right?
Eye to eye and feel the energy in the room. Well, guess what? Not only can we not do that now, but the economics and the comfortability with Zoom and things like this, we're not going back to the pure place where we were, where, okay, we want to have an international expo, we're all just going to show up in person, there's no online option. Guess what? Get comfortable with this stuff, right? This online thing isn't going away. And the thing that I think about is, all right, now, Freedom Party, like, not only is everybody, in the New York area attending live, but now people in Tokyo that just want to take part of this, they can get on Twitch and they can, you know, be a part of the thing too. So there's opportunities, you know, there's excitement, and obviously, you know, people want to feel the energy. So, you know, we have to find new ways. Like you said, we're waiting for when this is all over, but you know, how are we going to deal with this now? What happens if something else happens to, you know, continue this craziness and make this craziness worse? We have to be prepared. So anyway, I don't know if you want to comment on that, but I want to get into your background story and talk.
Good.
So let's talk about like the origins. I know you talked about doing stuff at different college when you originally started getting into DJing. I want to hear about the whole story.
So I'll take it. I'll do it quickly, and I'll take you way back. My dad was into restaurant and venue management and bookkeeping. So when I was a kid, he was running this nightclub chain called Duke's, which was popular in Philly. And then he was managing a very popular restaurant bar in Philly called Fish Market. And then he was food and beverage director at Resorts Casino Hotel. So I spent extended amount of time there, and that all bit me with the bug because I got to see all kinds of crazy live music and stuff. When I got out of my hometown, which is just right around Atlantic City, came to New York, that was my ticket out and into something bigger, and I was so happy to be there. And as soon as I stepped off the bus, I was just a sponge. I was going to every lounge and bar with my fake ID that I could, and soaking it all up. The first place I went was Nuyorican Poets Cafe in the East Village, which is a famous, important historic place.
I love that spot.
And it was Rocky LaMontagne's All That hip hop, poetry, jazz, open mic, and I was just like, it was everything for me. I went from this small, you know, mostly monochromatic town, just 10 minutes from the first casino, to this, and it was just, the whole world was right there, and I was just so stuck on that. And so I started to work for different record labels and different party promoters, and, you know, just being a part of things, helping to push things forward. I worked for Giant Step Workers. I worked for Giant Step Records. I worked for Mercury Records. I worked for Island. I worked for Island Def Jam. I worked for Def Jam. I worked for Raucous Entertainment. I went on to do some writing for The Source magazine, for Fridge magazine, for other smaller magazines. I started to do my own events here and there. And then in 2000, I borrowed some money for some turntables, and I stole some records from one of the record labels I was working for. Well, it was steal. And then I just started.
I got into one of the things that was really exciting because I was a DJ in high school, and then in 1996 I was interning with this college and career preparatory, and I wasn't in the college and career preparatory thing, but it was an internship, and one of the big things that I was tasked with was calling the record labels for swag and getting like the free cassette tapes, you know, obviously aging myself out there, right? You know, cassette tapes and stickers and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, all that stuff was so big in the music industry, and it's sort of gone. I mean, it's a little bit, but not the way it was.
No. You know, I still have T-shirts that I got for free for different artists from back when. And then so, you know, I was also doing, you know, these jobs. I was working for Guides to the City. I was writing, I was editing. I was working for an ad agency with Leo Burnett, had vigilante advertising. I was writing for Martha Stewart on the media. So I was always marketing and writing all the time. I minored in creative writing while I was in this nightlife industry. And so then in 2003, I created this old school dance party. And from that point on, I was able to go full time, because the money that I was making from that was more than the money I was making as an editor or as an assistant account exec. Because I, you know, and you just.
And I imagine it was a little bit more fun.
It was definitely more fun. And for me, it's just, that's who I am. I'm a performance artist. I love to entertain. I love to make people happy. That's why I do this. Number one reason. I went to NYU pre-med I wanted to be a psychiatrist to help people be happy. And then I went out one night and I went out to too many places, and I thought about life as a pre-med and all the studying and all the sitting still and focus. And I'm like, I need to be out there engaging people and socializing and meeting people. And so I called an emergency session with my guidance counselor and switched everything. So
what did you study at that point?
Well, I started sort of working down the ladder. So I figured, okay, I'll be a psychologist. Maybe it's not that hard. And then I found out that studying to be a psychologist is just as hard. You may not make as much money. So I'm like, okay, I'll go for my MSW. You could be a master's in social work and still hang your own shingle and see people. So I graduated trying to go for this MSW, and I was faced with a choice: either move back home to go to graduate school because I couldn't afford to stay in the city and pay for graduate school, or take your writing and marketing ability and keep hustling. And so I chose the latter. Yeah. So I stayed in town, and I guess 2003 came around, and the rest is history.
So what's your hometown again?
It's called Margate, New Jersey. It's 10 minutes from the first casino in Atlantic City. I was born in Atlantic City Hospital. I went to Atlantic City High School. I spent a lot of time in resorts, so it's that whole area is sort of my home stomping ground.
That's awesome. Have you DJ'd in any of the casinos?
Surprisingly enough, I have done one little private thing for a charity, but I have not played one of the big dance clubs there. I'm almost afraid to, in a way, because I just think it'd be so weird. But surprisingly enough, I have not.
It would be awesome. It'd be awesome.
You're probably right. I'm overthinking it. Yeah.
It's great. So talk to us about some of the experiences that you were having that sort of formed, this commitment to this career path. So you're in college, you're studying, obviously you're DJing, you're starting this party, but what's kept you in this?
It's strictly my love for engaging, for entertaining, for making people happy, for being a performance artist. I love it. I love doing something that gives people joy and seeing that. And that's why it's so hard for me to be diligent about the Twitch or the Mixcloud live streams, because it's just me playing music and I can't see anyone or feel anything. So it's really hard. That love is what's driven me, and then wanting to survive and prove myself. I didn't become the doctor or the lawyer that my mother wanted, but God damn it, I was going to make her proud, and I was going to not ask her for a single cent. So
talk to us about some of the experiences that have come out of this, because reading your bio and knowing that you've been in Tokyo and places, I'm super jealous for those experiences because I've traveled up to Canada. My wife is from Mexico, so I spent a good deal of time down in Mexico and different parts of Mexico. I've been all over the US of A. My mother's in Vancouver, Washington. We used to be in California. I grew up between California and New York City. I've spent some time in Florida. My grandparents are in Missouri. So got a lot of travel on the North American continent. Never been to South America, never been overseas. Talk to me about some of this overseas travel.
I'll say it flat out. I hate long traveling. I don't like it. I just the jet lag, just the feeling of being foreign in a foreign place. It's a little overwhelming, but then you settle in, and that's the tough thing about DJing is you never get a chance to settle in. You just go and you come back, and I hate that. Going to actually tour and travel is something else, and it's wonderful. So I hope to I always try to tie in. So for the Tokyo gig, my wife put together this huge trip, in Tokyo. For the what are some of the other places? For the London gig, I was there for an extended amount of time, although that's not that far, and it's like the UK is the UK. For the Venice gig and for the Florence gig, there was a definitely extended amount of time too. So I spent 95% of the time just walking around and seeing everything and feeling everything, and 5% of the time doing the gig that I was flown out there to do. So traveling is the greatest thing. And Cam, it's one of the special things out there to totally change who you are and broaden your mind. So I would highly suggest you after COVID disappears, you put it in the budget plan for yourself.
No, it's definitely there. Believe me, I want to travel so badly. One of our, I have a 14-year-old daughter and my wife, who both want desperately to travel to Paris. There's so many places that we want to go. We have family all over, so that's always a constant demand in terms of budgetary priorities.
Yeah.
If it was just me, and this because you got the family aspect going on as well. If it was just me, man, I would. I
don't want to hear what you would do.
I can do a lot of what I do at my desk from just about any continent in the world in this day and age, right? So there would be no restrictions. But it's it's patience. You know, it's a you gotta play the patience game with it. But I'm looking forward to it. I am really excited about traveling some different places. I think one of the powerful things, you talk about marketing and you talk about, you know, driving people to your place of business, you know, wherever that may be, whether it's a dance party or, you know, through the power of writing and marketing to get people to buy your product. You know, I started this show with that idea that I am building that pathway in. I've seen just amazing things. I was telling you the other day about my friend, you know, on TikTok, started in March, 200, you know, she was with 200 followers on TikTok. Now she has 2.5 million, and she will be traveling the world on the power of social media. So one of the things that I don't want to forget to pitch and sort of have in this message, in this interview, is that whether it's you and, you know, you've had such success with your Freedom Dance Party, you got a brand, you got, you know, people that are in you. I was looking at your social media contents, you got thousands of followers between your different channels. So, you know, taking that and expanding that, giving the people what they want your music. For anybody that's watching this, you can go look at playlist on Spotify. Herbert put together a great collection. I was actually doing my bike ride this morning, listening to it. And, you know, a lot of the music, you know, hip hop is one of those challenging things. I have such a love relationship with it, but I can't play a lot of my most favorite jams from the 90s and early 2000s for my kids sometimes because some of the content is crazy.
Yeah. But not worse than the new content. Not the new content is even worse than the old content.
Well, I don't buy into that, because where I was going with that conversation is I see people like hating on like Cardi B's
right.
WAP, and you know,
she's Foxy Brown. She's no different. She's Lil Kim. She's no different.
Well, and she's no different from Big. I can't play, you know, and Big is one of my favorite MCs of all time. She's not a whole lot different from the original folks that started rapping, but the only way that they could get popular was making, you know, cuts for radio. So that's they produce some, you know, I think we get nostalgic for things, but we forget why they were the way they were. Radio edits were a bigger thing back when. Now it's Spotify, and you don't need to make a radio edit to make your song go viral, right? The only way of going viral was getting your hit on the radio and getting that played on MTV. Now you don't need to do that, right? I can put it out on YouTube, and I can put it out on, you know, Apple iTunes. I can publish it myself, and I can have half the world rock into my jam. And then most of the world don't even know I exist.
Yeah.
But I'm still making money. I'm still, you know, streaming. It's not the old school thing where an A&R executive makes the decision on your career. You can put it out yourself, and it's a lot easier. But people get so upset about, you know, artists and all this stuff. And I saw one social media post, and I try not to get upset because I know it's just people being people. And I love the idea of WAP because she is doing what, you know, with Cardi B, she's doing what you need to do as a marketer. You got to get people talking about your product. So I'm sure she's laughing all the way to the
bank.
Everybody that is upset about her stuff, because, you know, she's playing into the misogyny that's been going on in hip hop for years. I know, and part of one of the messages that we want to take away today is, you know, you're a white man in not necessarily a white man's game. And, you know, I've always struggled with that because, you know, early I was DJing in high school. I tried to, you know, I had my embarrassing moment of being on stage trying to rap and going by the MC name of MC Bulk. I can't even explain that one today, but that's what it was. You know, obviously there's intimidation and a challenge when you don't own the space. I think it's really important to understand. I was telling you this before we got on, like, you know, there's so many people that come with challenges, and being a white guy, you know, tell Eminem that, you know, you can't be successful as a white guy in hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, I think that, you know, one of the challenges in the culture is always like, immediately, are you appropriating? Are you, you know, are you the white devil just coming in and taking advantage of the black man, black woman's art form? and you deal with that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you love what you do, right? I mean, I'll let you talk to this.
Yeah. Well, first I want to go back really quickly to Cardi B. I think there's, and my wife explains this to me, and I want to share it with you, is that there's power in controlling narrative. Yeah. And that's what Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B are doing. They're setting the stage for how they want their sexuality to be seen. And that's something that's really important. So while it is lewd and disgusting and gross, and I don't want my daughter to watch it, the underlying message is they're in control. And I think that's empowering and cool.
I love it. Yeah, no, I dig it. I mean,
yeah.
Am I listening to that? Am I sharing that with my kids and all that stuff? Come on, you guys, I don't need to tell you the answer to that, right?
Yeah.
I care about my children. I want them to grow up. I want them to be respectful. I want them to talk right. But at the same time, all of the music out there, and I'm not as familiar with rock and roll hits as I am with hip hop, so I can't name all of the explicit, lewd, crazy songs from rock and roll and all the other art forms and everything. Listen, man, if you're worried about poetry being lewd and erotic, we can go to like ancient scripts of
course, Kama Sutra
books, right? Exactly, right? So
but
I'm with you on that 100 degrees. I think 100%. I think, the idea that it's not playing the man game, that it's talking about satisfying the woman versus the other way around. I think that's big. I think, we all have to be a little bit more on that feminist streak, and we can. There's a lot of different strokes for different folks. So enjoy it or turn the channel.
Right.
Yeah.
And segueing from the feminism to sort of the white people within, there's not much I feel like I want to say about that. And the reason is because I think in general, white people need to talk less and listen more when it comes to Black culture. And as a white DJ in Black music and Black culture and Black industry, it's important that I remember to listen as often as possible and learn and not take for granted the membership pass that maybe the pass that I've not a membership, but the pass that I've been granted to do this.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of it. There's not a DJ gig that goes by where I'm not thinking about it, several times a gig, and being careful of, if I ever hold the mic, how I sound and what I say. I'm very, very, very self-conscious of it. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that.
Yeah. And I think the message here too, I think is really interesting, because I've heard in my lifetime as a white man, this whole thing of like reverse racism. I got to watch what I say. They don't have to watch what they say. And I think the moment hopefully speaks very hard to that. If you get a microphone and you get a moment to shine and you get to say whatever the hell you want to say without repercussions, that's a big change in life, where if you say the wrong thing outside of that situation, you can be shot.
And I as a white person, I think besides listening more than talking, I think you need to embrace the notion that you aren't a person of color and you are going to make missteps. And there are some people and some theories out there that say you are on the spectrum of racism, whether you like it or not, especially if you have a certain age and how institutionalized racism is. You are on that spectrum. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to embrace that. Embrace the missteps that you will make. I've made them myself. Not be afraid of it and learn from it and do what you can to get yourself as far down on the spectrum as possible.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree 100%. And I'm glad we're talking about it, because I think this conversation needs to take place more, and because people are so much like, you're a racist, and that's this horrible moniker, as it should be. But the understanding there is that you need to understand that we're all racist to a certain degree, right? And when I call somebody like Donald Trump racist, the reason is because his actions are racist, not because he has some tint or degree, just like we all kind of hold. Whether you're a person of color, whether you're white, we have society, we have magazine covers, we got institutional racism in a lot of different ways. But when you have somebody that is actively dog whistling to a certain amount of the population. You got things that are happening. There's different levels to it. And these kind of conversations, the nuanced conversations that call out things like, hey, teachers that, are forced to teach a text are, going off script and saying that one race or one type of person is better than another. That's not right. And when it's institutionalized because, you got some kind of rule or thing that says you can't have your hair the way it naturally grows or things like this. These things are institutional racism, and then they get passed down into rules, and then we walk out the door with them as preconcepts to how we judge people, and that's what racism is, right? And then you have the racism that's really just blatant racism where it's just, I feel like I'm better for whatever reason, and it might be layered with financialism, right? You got these different kinds of sexisms. You might have all these other things thrown into it, but at the end of the day, what we're talking about in society is what we want to do is we want to get a knowledge on what these isms are, how they play out, and we want to actively work against them. And I think if we're doing that, then we're on a better path than we were yesterday.
Yeah. I don't have much more to add to that. I'm at the point where I feel like we should have a person of color in this room if we want to continue talking about it. So
yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about what the future holds for Freedom Parties. Talk to us about what you're thinking of and what kind of things that you're seeing out there that are kind of cool in the music and DJing space. I know you're throwing around Clubhouse. I don't know if you want to kind of throw that out there. Yeah. The word for folks.
Sure. So there's a lot of different technologies coming out and things are happening now that people are home and being all up in their brains about stuff. Obviously, the number one DJ technology is Serato. It's a software program that allows you to manipulate MP3s in whichever way you want. And that's always changing. New hardware is coming out where it goes so far beyond being on the 1 and 2s like Cam and I remember. It's just another world entirely. But on the social media scene, there's an app that you all really need to know about. It's called Clubhouse. Clubhouse single-handedly is the antidote to the poison that sometimes Twitter and Facebook can be. Obviously, we're all smart enough to know that if we go on social media, it can't be personal. It can only be positive and for business, or if it's not for business, just positive. But sometimes there's a trap because there are people on there and people that you're friends with and people that you like and respect. And then there's a conversation that happens and you feel emotionally drawn to that and you want to chime in. And more often than not, when you chime in on Twitter or on Facebook, there's a battle, there's a war, there's cancel in your horizon. So for me, there was that poison. I was very close to just taking a big hiatus. And then there's this thing called Clubhouse, where you enter this hallway. It's a virtual hallway, and there's a number of different rooms where conversations are going on live. People are talking. And each person, there's an avatar, and there's a microphone, and there's a moderator of the room, and people are adding to it. And it is an incredible experience. It's not like anything that I've experienced on social media yet. Because most of the rooms that I've been in are incredibly loving. And I hate to, and it's crazy to say that, but they're loving. There's a lot of communicating. There's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of warmth. There's a lot of understanding. There's a lot of honesty. There's people are crying in some rooms and laughing in others. And the predominant voice on this platform is also people of color, POC. And there's a lot of music industry on there. And then there's also there's actually a good amount of marketing voice on there too. You have to be invited. You can't, it's in beta. So you got to know someone that's on there, and that person will allow you in to different rooms to discuss.
What's the proper name? Because I'm searching it up because it's an app for your phone, right?
It's an app for your phone. It's Clubhouse, one word.
One word. Is it like a emoji with a hand with a finger? Is that what it is?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
I'm looking at it. All right. So what's the reason somebody should jump on here? Like, what's the main reason?
Clubhouse?
Yeah.
To be a part of the conversation that controls the corporate sphere. in the industry, in any industry, because it's full of people that are behind the scenes doers, the ones that are connecting the dots that may not necessarily have 1 million followers. And the people who come on here, they're not, it's not about that, at least not yet. Right now, it's in this really awesome phase where it's just about sharing and venting and draining your body of the poison of other social media platforms. That's what it feels like. It really feels like you're getting a colonic or something.
This is from somebody that's been heavy on Twitter. I know you were sharing that with me, like just trying to do that, because Twitter is a place where people are just kind of broadcasting a message. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I feel like I need to hit this as a DJ. We talked a little bit about, D-Nice getting on Twitter Instagram and being able to kind of just play music. Now that's a big challenge for anyone who hasn't been through this challenge. If you play other people's music, music that's out, music that you like, whatever genre, whatever, and play that music in your stream, in your YouTube cast, on Facebook, on Instagram, it'll probably flag, and that video will probably be removed, either be muted or that music will be taken down. But there's somebody like D-Nice that gets on and he's allowed to play hours on end with copyrighted music. So first of all, I know we talked a little bit about it. I don't want to get too much into the legalese of why D-Nice is allowed to do that and other people are doing that, but it does present a challenge for somebody like yourself that's a DJ. So what do you think about that first, and what is the solution?
At first, I think, isn't it amazing how D-Nice has infiltrated so many different parts of our culture and our conversation? We're here on BizDev Live, and we're talking about him. I think it's amazing. I'm very happy and jealous of to be honest. So you can't play music online that belongs to somebody else, because it will get flagged. There's metadata with each digital file, which is what the song is. It's a file, it's an MP3. There's metadata that when an algorithm or some type of robotic drone, digital virtual drone, finds it and spots it, it'll shut you down. It doesn't matter if Facebook or Instagram or Twitter pays ASCAP fees. It has nothing to do with ASCAP. It has to do with the metadata in the song. It also has to do with ephemeral rights versus long-term rights. So Twitch is a place where a lot of DJs are going because Twitch already got around the ephemeral rights at one point. So Twitch used to be a gaming site where you watch people play video games. Which I know sounds so exciting.
Right. It's still
right. Yes, it is.
I mean, and you say that, but then, and I would have said the same thing, but then I started playing, because I have young children, so I started playing, and I was into video games when I was younger, and so Legend of Zelda: Call of the Wild came out, and suddenly I'm playing, and then of course you get into a level and you're stuck.
Right. So
now I'm going to YouTube to find out how to get out this thing, and then, which that would have been fine, right? All right, I go and I watch a video to get through the whatever, but then I start watching this other person playing the game, and they're doing cool stuff in the video, and I don't know how many minutes I watched, but I am guilty of watching somebody else play a video game.
Oh, absolutely. And so am I. I've done that too in the past. Like when this new game came out and I didn't have the console, my roommate I'd sit there all day and so I get it. So let me not be a jerk. So they dealt with the issue that there was music always playing in the video game. So they had to work out some type of legal thing where they got around that. What they're doing is, when you do a Twitch stream, you can archive it. And if you archive it, that's when you can get shut down, because it's ephemeral, the short moments versus long-term moments. Like with Facebook or Instagram, everything gets kept and archived. I think that has part to do with it too. Now, D-Nice was able to get around that. Before D-Nice became super famous, he was already famous and successful, great DJ, nice guy. He had a lot of 267,000 followers on Instagram. He was the celebrity DJ choice. He went all over the world DJing. But when this club quarantine thing happened, then he went from 267 or whatever it was to 2-3 million followers. But on one of those explosive moments, there were about 150,000 people following, and a few of those people were celebrities. Like Oprah would come through, Michelle Obama, Justin Timberlake. They would stop in and say, I'm listening, I'm rocking. And everyone will be like, holy mackerel, I'm watching the same stream that, and hold on to this for a second, because I'm going to go back to Clubhouse. So they're like, I'm watching the same stream. And then Zuckerberg came in. And D and I said, oh, wow, Mark Zuckerberg's here. Mark, please don't shut me down. Please don't shut me down. I know there's copyright issues. Please don't shut me down. And then the whole chat, there wasn't much of a chat on Instagram. Instagram is very one way. But all of the little comments were, Mark, let him live, let him live, let him go. And then all of a sudden, Mark gets on and he goes, you're okay, D. So for D-Nice is seen as a platform to advertise. So for Instagram, you know, I don't know if they're going to face a lawsuit, but they think it's worth it with D-Nice and maybe, and that's it. Now, going back to Clubhouse, you will be in a room chatting with 10 people, and you've never heard of any of the people before. They're all just doers and movers and shakers behind the scene. But then someone like D-Nice will come in the room, or someone like Joe Budden, who has a #1 podcast, or some huge name in the industry who's at Apple, will just step into the room, and everyone's like conversing at this wonderful beta moment of Clubhouse. So another shameless plug for Clubhouse.
You're in the room and you're getting a chance to speak with the folks. So I mean, I think that's something that's huge. That's amazing. So what is the future? What are you thinking about in terms of the Freedom Parties? What are you working on now? And you know, I think we can even get into, you know, how can people get in touch with you? Throw up the website for Herbert Holler while you're again.
So if you want to get in touch with me, it's herbertholler.com. At Herbert Holler is the handle on every platform: Instagram, Twitter, where I'm at often, too much probably, Spotify. On Facebook, it's Herbert Holler page. And then there's Freedom Party NYC on Instagram, which is the bigger one. At Freedom Party NYC, that's what it is on SoundCloud, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. As far as the future of freedom, I am going to do my best to make sure that when that vaccine is out and we're all able to rock together again physically, that I am well situated. And that means now slowly building a sort of a digital presence with live streams, with merchandise, beefing up the platforms that I'm on, and just staying part of the conversation and continuing to do that. Yeah,
absolutely. With the audience that you currently have, how are you engaging them at all right now?
So I'm still sending emails out once a week, and I'm making sure those emails are chock full of things that are interesting. I put up new playlists on the emails. I have links to the merchandise on the emails. I have little stories. I like to be personal, and that helps my marketing cause to connect with people. And I'm posting every day still on Facebook and on Instagram, making sure that I have something snappy, studying the algorithm, looking at my insights, figuring out when everybody's on. I'm just staying engaged that way, and every now and then there's a live stream opportunity that comes on, and I try to take advantage of that. The venue that I'm at in IRL, in real life, they have LPRs. It's Le Poisson Rouge on Bleecker Street, LPRNYC.com. They actually have LPR.TV now. So I'm hoping and excited for when I'm back on the scene that LPR TV is going to be really functional, so I can broadcast the party to different realms. I used to work with Ustream. Someone on the team used to run the Ustream, but Ustream sort of, unfortunately, they missed their moment. Yeah, so there's more that, you know, as an entrepreneur, there's always more you can do. Every morning you wake up and you're like, will I get to do all the things that I'm supposed to be doing today? And then by nighttime, you're so tired that you can't even think about it. You're like, all right, I'll try tomorrow. So there's always something more I can do, and I'm keeping my eye on that.
Yeah, no, and I'm really interested because I think that'll be. I got to look more into Twitch because I keep hearing about it, and I know that it's popular. I know I could be content out there and just not, it's more just video gaming right now, and I think people need to bear of that, which I think is a great word to the wise for folks that are looking at how to get the word out and things to check out, because it's social media is one of those things, right? A lot of people aren't talking about TikTok, and one of the things that I've been trying to promote very strongly to folks is like, hey, look at TikTok, because before Facebook was Facebook, it was it was Vine, it was whatever. And some social media is going to fail, and some social media is going to explode. You can see the power of that, in the social media networks that we're all tracking and on, and that are driven or part of our lives now. Instagram, wasn't owned by Facebook at one point, wasn't a part of our daily conversation, and this, right? So I think that's always like a way to their ear to the ground. So I'm really, really appreciative of you putting me on a class. I'm looking forward to checking out. Yeah. Give me the last word here again, one more time, how people can get in touch with and who we want to connect with. We'll put that out there and then play us off with this thing.
Okay. You can reach me by email simply herbert@herbertholler.com, and Holler is spelled Holler. My handles all over the internet are at Herbert Holler. Facebook is at Herbert Holler page. But again, Herbert@herbertholler.com is the best way to reach me. What was the last thing you said? Sorry.
Who do you want to connect with?
I want to connect. I'm a DJ. I do this because I love to connect with people in general. If you're watching BizDev Live, you're somebody I want to connect with. So feel free to email me. If you have any questions about marketing events, about writing content, I'm doing that now for some alcohol companies, Naughty Paws Tequila, and a couple others. Email me. If you need music, you need a playlist, you need anything, just email me. I'm happy to connect and network with BizDev Live people for sure.
And I will add this. Your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, and the Spotify playlist down in the comments on YouTube, off to this Facebook. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being on the show. I will see you tomorrow.
BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C.